if you feel like the lead quality coming from your cold email campaigns is poor, maybe they're poor people, or they're rude, or they don't understand why they're on the sales call, or they don't show up for sales calls, or any of these flavors of lead quality, then this video is for you. Because what we've found is lead quality isn't just about finding the right people, it's also about the message you put in front of them and the infrastructure over the whole system, which drastically impacts the lead quality that you generate from your campaigns. So in this video, I'm going to walk through step by step how you solve this so you can get the best possible results from your cold email campaign. If you're new here, just who am I and why should you listen to me? Here are some agencies that we have helped recently, jumping on a call with them. I'll talk about Social Proof later in this video, but if you want to see me talking with other people in a long format, then you can here. And here are leads that we've generated in the last 10 weeks or so, 867. So a bit of social proof as to why you should listen to me trying to solve lead quality. So lead quality is one of the topics I am most passionate about. And that's because we obviously do a lot of cold email campaigns for us, but we do a lot for other people, right? That's what I spend most of my time doing, is figuring out and solving cold outbound for other companies. And when they say they have lead quality problems, it hurts, right? Because it's like, this is me, I'm a wood maker making a table, and they've essentially said, yeah, the table's shit, mate. Like, cool, you've generated all these leads, but like, they're not good. And that is an interesting pill to swallow. And if you are a cold email agency and you run cold email campaigns for other people, you understand that, I've put in so much work and there's so much effort that goes in to generate leads. What do you mean there's a problem with the quality of the leads, right? So we have solved this for ourselves and for tons of other businesses. So I will show you kind of how to do that. And actually, I'm just going to, so when people say they have a lead quality problem, they're essentially saying there's a lead that is missing certain characteristics that are required to move forward in the sales process. That's what they said. This lead doesn't have money. They're poor. This lead, they're a tie kicker. They're not a serious buyer. They weren't taking these sales calls with me seriously. They were rude. They didn't know who I was. They were confused about why I was calling them. They didn't even know what the company does. They're not ready to buy right now. I just want to talk to people that are ready to buy right now. The company is too small. We can't help companies of this size. They need at least 15 employees for our solution to make sense for them. They didn't even pick up the phone. Like, how can they be a good lead if they don't have time to talk to me for 5 minutes? They're not in an industry that we can help. Okay. These are different flavors of problems which you put in the bucket of lead quality, and you're saying the prospect doesn't want to buy my thing because of one of these flavors. I need prospects that are of high quality, e.g. don't have these characteristics. Okay. So there's something that we really need to distinguish early on, and that is typically people are saying the prospect doesn't want to buy your thing. The prospect doesn't want to buy your thing. And so it's a lead quality problem because of the prospect. But it could also be that the prospect doesn't want to buy your thing. They're going to buy the thing, but they're going to buy it from someone else. Okay. That's a completely different problem to solve. Or the prospect doesn't want to buy your thing, right? The thing that you're selling is not attractive to the prospect, right? They might have a problem that your thing solves, but they're not sold that your thing is the thing that can solve their problem. They're going to buy a different thing to solve their problem. Okay. Again, a different problem to solve. The prospect doesn't want to buy your thing yet. Okay. They're going to buy, or they're potentially going to buy your thing, but not today. Again, a different problem to solve. So we need to be clear on if it's a prospect thing, if it's a you thing, if it's a thing, e.g., is it the product you're selling, or is it a timing thing? Okay. And this is one major piece of context. The other major piece of context is that some leads are good and some leads are bad. we're just going to say 15% of leads are high quality leads. You got them at the right time. They're nice people. They're willing to have a chat. Oh yeah, their meeting just cancelled, so they've actually got extra time to talk to you today. Okay. And then 15% of people are rude people. They do not have the time for the call. They're gruff on the phone. They've had bad traumatic experiences dealing with salespeople like you, and so they're going to treat you in that way. Okay? We don't care about either of those ends of the spectrum. Yeah, cool, you can close some deals, that's nice. Yeah, cool, some people are rude, that is what it is. We care about the middle 70%. We want to solve these problems with the middle 70% in mind, because solving outbound is about solving it for the middle, right? Anyone can solve it for low-hanging fruit, and essentially no one can solve it for hard prospects, and no one should bother trying to. We're trying to solve it for the middle, okay? So where do we start? We start by solving lead quality at the surface, and this cuts to the heart of this contextual question up here. We start by solving lead quality at the surface. Step one, you need to do a sanity test and essentially see if the people that you're emailing are people you can help. Okay? Because if the people you're emailing are not people that you can help, then there's the problem right there. You're emailing people that even if they responded positively, you wouldn't want to get on the phone with them and help them. So this is the exercise that we run our clients through if they're having a lead quality issue. We download the lead list and we send it to them. And we say, please open 30 random URLs and ask yourself, if you had a call with this company and they wanted to buy your thing, would you sell it to them? Okay? If you answer with 80% or more yeses, then you do not have a lead list problem. The problem isn't that you can't sell to these people, it's that they don't want to buy your thing. It's a different problem, okay? So if, let's say, only half of them you would sell your thing to, you need to refine your lead list further, okay? Essentially, you need to make sure that you get rid of people on your lead list that you don't want to be selling your product to. Otherwise, you're going to get these lead quality issues and get all these false flags around your campaign. So 2 ways that you can do this. You can essentially update the source. So let's say you did, for argument's sake, you did a Google Maps scrape of restaurants. And it turns out that most restaurants that a Google Maps scrape does are crap. Okay, cool. How do you improve that at the source? You can change it from restaurant to cocktail bar. Why? Because your average restaurant and your average cocktail bar is going to be of high caliber. Okay? You can change it from restaurant to brewery, right? Because the average brewery is going to be doing more weekly revenue than your average restaurant. Okay? You can change it to bistro. You can change it to something else. Okay? You can solve it at the source. This also means that, let's say you're using Apollo or something that's scraping LinkedIn, you can add more filters. You can remove the companies that are 1 to 10 employees, right? Or whatever the things are at the source, and you can change the lead list, run through the same exercise, look at the 30 URLs. Are we going to get 80% yeses this time? Okay. If this is too complex, right? Let's say whatever the filtration system is, it doesn't do a good enough job, then you can use Clay and AI to do this. So I'll show you how we do this. Whenever we are scraping a lead list, we actually run it through this before trying to verify the email. So let's just have a look here. This is a random home remodeler SEO list. So this is just home remodeling companies. What we do, and we say there's a few no's in here, but they're mostly yeses, which makes sense, is we scrape these URLs, right? So this is coming off a Google Maps scrape, and then we put them into something called Clay, which is essentially spreadsheet software which allows us to use AI in each of the cells. So this column is going to go to the domain, explain what the company does and what services they offer, right? And then we're going to see, does this provide services related to home remodeling, right? Because if they don't provide services related to home remodeling, we want to filter them out of the list. Because let's say 30% of the people on this list didn't do home remodeling services, then our home remodeling SEO offer would make no sense to them and would be a poor quality lead. So we can filter them this way, okay? So We used to do it just by, this is a bit in the weeds, we used to do it just by asking, does this domain have anything to do with home remodeling? We found that getting the company description and then asking if the company description has anything to do with home remodeling performs better, and we get more accurate results. Okay, so 2 ways. You can update the source to improve the lead list, or you can filter the lead list to improve the lead list through AI by going to the domain and essentially doing what you would do. If you go to 30 URLs and you decide 6 of them are bad, why do you decide that? Is it what do you look at? And then you can just ask AI to make that same judgment call. Okay. Now, let's talk about solving a copy issue. Okay, let's talk about solving a copy issue. And I would say that these are like the 2 ways that people tend to try and solve lead quality. And I mean, I agree, they're logical, right? Are you emailing the right people? What are you emailing them? So now we've come to the conclusion that we're emailing the right people after doing this. Now it's about what you're emailing them. So just to be very clear here, you need to get positive replies, right? If we sell this home remodeling SEO, as we're talking about here, and the copy was, we do SEO for home remodeling companies, we're the best in Arizona, do you want to have a chat? This is how much it costs. Yes, people that respond positively to those are going to be good quality leads. You're going to get 0 people to respond positively to that. So there is some complexity with trying to solve lead quality through the copy, right? So if you email saying, everyone's saying, buy my thing, this is what it does, and it costs $2,000, whatever the price is, then that is great if you can get a good positive response back. And these will be high quality. But for most companies, you simply can't do that because the cost that you're going to spend on setting up the inboxes and the leads and all the software is way too high per positive response. Or you're just going to get through the whole target market without getting a single positive response. Okay, so that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is you write copy that's far too misaligned for your actual offering, such that it damages lead quality. Meaning that if you say, for these people, you could go down the other end of the spectrum and say, we have 10 home remodeling leads ready to send over. Do you want them? Like, yeah, you're going to get heaps of positive replies, but now you have to try and sell them SEO services, and you're going to be like, the lead quality here is really bad. The lead quality here is really bad. They don't want to buy my SEO services. Why? Because they're the copy has misaligned them too much. So we have this essentially pipe analogy, which is you try and figure out where in the market you can get lead flow. What do you say in the copy to get lead flow? We've got leads sitting here waiting for you. Do you want them? Let's say. And then you've got your product that you're trying to sell, and there has to be some pipe that connects the two, right? This is the sales process. Okay. A skilled salesperson can move the pipe quite far. Most people are not at that level where they can move the pipe quite far. They need to have it relatively close, right? So you need to make sure that the copy you've written, if someone responds positively, essentially to the copy that you've written, they would benefit or be interested in learning about your core offer or product, okay? And so how we do this is we typically will read the copy, review how the discovery calls go, right? Let's say you write some copy and it does generate positive responses and you have calls, review how those calls go. If the calls are going badly because the salesperson is not doing a good job on the call, and we can talk about that later in this video, then try and solve that first. If they are doing a decent job on the call, they don't do a fantastic job, but a decent job, but the prospects are too misaligned, then start writing copy which is more closely aligned to what you sell, okay? You can test a more direct copy approach, but be aware that you have a high chance that your lead flow will drop to 0. My beliefs have changed on this somewhat. I've had some clients come to me in industries I don't understand, and I will go and write some more what I deem to be appealing copy, and we test that appealing copy alongside them just explaining what they do in the email. And yes, my one generates slightly more positive responses, but their leads that they generate are so much higher quality because they're calibrated for what they sell. And so they just get them on a call and then they can close them. And so that is a far better cold outreach than what I've written. So I am coming around that more direct copy can perform drastically better. But we just need to understand this. Solving the copy issue. Is it a salesperson's issue, a sales process issue, or is it a copy issue? Are people coming onto these calls too misaligned? And if they are, bring the copy closer to what you're actually selling. And I've just got it here. Better emails equal higher quality leads. This is why we send videos in our emails. So we send a personalized video in all our email outreach. And that means that they hear your voice, they see your face. And then when they get on a call, they're just higher quality. They're going to be less rude to you. They're going to be more aligned to what you're actually doing. Okay? So let's say that you look at the copy and you come to the conclusion, look, if people respond positively to this copy, they should be fine to move down the sales process. And people on this lead list are people I can help. Okay? Why are you still having lead quality issues then? Why are people still not buying? Okay? So let's get a deeper understanding of this. And to get a deeper understanding of this, I want to essentially pull up Lucid and walk through what I think will help here. So let's walk through step by step what is happening. You are emailing a list with email copy that is aligned. So we're emailing a list with email copy that's aligned, right? People are either going to read the email, and let's just say not read the email. The people that read the email, the next step is actually look you up online or not look you up online. And then they're either going to reply, or let's just say not reply. And then let's just say they're going to start and this is like a big process, a lead nurture process. And this can go into a sales process, which is again, a big process. Okay, so this is actually what's happening. So your emailing list, right? And we've already, verified that we're doing this right? So read the email, not read the email. Okay? People are like, why is it only the small companies? Why? I've got this lead list and there's big companies and there's small companies. Why is it the small companies that go through this? Well, it's either because they just don't read your email, right? Or they read your email and it doesn't stimulate them enough to look you up online and then they don't reply, right? Or they read your email, it's somewhat interesting enough to look you up online, they don't find anything worthwhile looking you up online and so they don't reply. This is why the higher quality leads in your lead list don't go into your lead nurture process. It's one of these three things. They didn't read your email because your sending infrastructure is either not good enough or whatever reason, you didn't capture them at a good time, you haven't emailed them enough, right? Or they read your email and then they didn't look you up online because the email just wasn't stimulating enough and then they didn't reply. Or they read your email, they did look you up online and what they found wasn't stimulated enough and they didn't reply. Okay? So these are the bottlenecks, right? Here, and here, right? And also you'll find I'm going to make this green. Companies with money that value their time and their resources are going to do some research before replying to your email. It's crazy to think that they're not. You watching this are also going to do some research if you reply to an email from someone you don't know. Like, I guarantee you. Right? You don't really want the calls with people who get the text, the notification, they've got an email, someone says they can give them something and they reply saying sure, without checking them out. Why? Because it's just poor person activities. Okay. So you want to be making sure that what people look you up online is good. Because these are the replies. These are like your your highest quality replies. And these are a mixed bag. Okay. So we're saying that the people on the lead list were for the most part the right people and that they responded to the email for the right reason. So improving lead quality typically has to do with the rest of the system. Okay. They typically have to do with improving the rest of the system, the lead nurture process, the sales process, what they find when they look you up online. That is typically what is going to result in improving the lead quality across the system. Let's talk about what people find online about you, your product, and your business. So the most natural thing to do when you get an email from someone you don't know is to look them up online. You cannot complain when owners of $1 million companies look you up, can't find anything compelling, and then don't respond to your emails. And then all the people that do respond to your emails are poorer people. Okay? If you're already a larger business, then you will already have a large-ish digital footprint for the most part. But if you're smaller, then it's vital to understand this and put some energy towards it. So let's say we've got 2 separate businesses running the exact same cold outreach to the exact same email list, except one has nothing about them online. One has an active LinkedIn, an active YouTube, and a website with a whole lot of video testimonials. Like, one is going to get all of the good leads. Like, the campaign often isn't where the problem is with the lead quality. Okay, right? Because the campaign doesn't operate in a bubble. It's not like lead list, words to lead list, lead quality. That's not how it works. This is where I think the most advantage can be made with what you find online. So your website should have customer interviews and video testimonials, because anyone can fake written reviews right now. And I talk to lots of businesses and I go on their website and I find fake reviews and I ask them about it and they're like, oh yeah, they're just like a placeholder for when I get some real reviews. So no, people don't trust that. I've just started posting on LinkedIn, and again, I don't post on LinkedIn to necessarily like get leads from LinkedIn. I post on LinkedIn such that when we do cold email, they've got somewhere to find me. I think it's just a good stopgap, like placeholder place that's easy to post, and so someone can do a quick sanity check. Is this person legit? Go to your LinkedIn. YouTube is great. Also, I probably find this to be the most useful. Bear in mind, our YouTube channel is my name, and so if I do cold email from my name, they're going to find the YouTube channel. So this is not going to just result in more high quality conversations now, but it provides a place to start capturing longer term prospects, right? Because let's say I email them, they go to the YouTube channel, they watch some YouTube channel videos, YouTube's going to recommend more videos, or they're going to sign up to the email list and then get emails for a long period of time. Okay. Cold email is top of funnel. Okay. So start thinking about it as top of funnel. An easy thing to do just to begin here is just ask your current clients to do custom interviews with you. You can literally just talk about anything, and then you can put these on your website, your LinkedIn, and your YouTube. Your lead nurturing process. So what did you want to get a positive reply? Okay. And again, we're looking at this thing now. Okay. Your lead nurturing process. So let's just picture 2 different businesses. One is doing this. So a lead gets forwarded to them, or let's say they generate a positive response from their outreach, and then they email them. They answer any questions that they have in the email. They send them a nice little Calendly link, and then if they don't reply, they send them a follow-up. Okay, cool. This is typically what we see, and it's typically just not good enough. So what is a different approach that a different business going after the same lead list with the same copy could take? They generate a lead. They then add them on LinkedIn. Okay. They then respond to the lead by making them a personal video. And in that video, they answer any questions that they have in such a way that shows that they know what they're talking about. They then, instead of sending a Calendly link, will propose 2 times. Are you good for a call like later today, or does tomorrow work? If they don't get a reply, they call them at their next available time slot. Hey, I sent you over a video. Did you manage to get that? I was just responding to an email. Okay. If they don't pick up the phone, they send them a text and they follow up again via email. Okay. If they respond to their connection request on LinkedIn, they can then message them on LinkedIn. If they don't hear from them then they add them to a long-term email nurture sequence. They then take all the emails from all the positive responses and they add them to their retargeting ads on Google and Meta. Okay. Which business is going to have better lead quality from the positive responses generated over email? Obviously the one that's taking all the action, right? It's going to result in more sales now. It's also going to result in more sales in 6 months, in 12 months, in 18 months. Okay. So you want a lead nurture process that maximizes the amount of sales calls you have now, as well as nurtures leads that are not ready yet, such that you stay top of mind for months or years. So here's 2 requirements. Set the game up in such a way where you can call the prospect if they don't respond. So essentially, you get a positive response. You want to set up your baseline response to that positive response to say, hey, if you don't respond to my email, I'm going to call you. You're going to just have way more sales opportunities that way. Okay. And have a step, some sort of step that results in long-term nurture. If it's when you don't hear from them, this thing happens. A really easy thing to do here is every 6 months, block out 3 days. Every 6 months, block out 3 days, go through all positive responses from the last, you can say 6 months or forever, and make them all a personal Loom video to see how they're going and if they want to jump on a call. Why? Because now, even if it doesn't result in a sale today, it's been added to the batch of people that you're going to follow up with every 6 months. And it's going to result in more sales in the long run. Okay. So you can see how they're just getting more value out of the leads now. The leads are more valuable. They're higher quality. Okay. So the lead nurture process goes a long way here. Now we're going to talk about your sales process. So this is positive response comes in. You've taken some action on the lead nurturing to get them onto an initial call. What do you do then to turn that call into money? Okay. So let's picture 2 businesses. One company picks up the phone, explains, what they do, answers any questions that the prospect has, gives them price, and then puts the info in an email for them and has the understanding that, I've been doing sales for a long time. If they wanted to buy, they're going to buy. Okay, cool. That doesn't apply to outbound, right? It does apply to inbound, but I understand the logic there. But the other company doing the exact same outreach with the same copy, with the same lead nurture process, does a discovery call where they ask questions that showcase their knowledge of the industry. They ask specific questions. They're the doctor, the prospect's the patient. They ask them, have you tried doing it this way? And how did that go? Yeah. And there's these new regulations coming into force. What are you guys doing about those? Right? They ask specific questions that showcase their knowledge. And then at the end of that call, typically a 10 to 15 minute call, they say, okay, best thing to do is let's jump on a quick 45 or a longer 45-minute video call, and I can share what some other people in the space are doing and kind of just show you what it looks like and how much it would cost if you wanted to get involved. How does that sound? Right. And then they do a longer call where they walk through a structured presentation which shows case studies, results, ideally live, breaks down why it works, and then pitches a motivated price. Right. They say hey, I do these calls all the time and there's a lot of people that I'm chasing up with. So what we do is we have a motivated price, which essentially says if you can make a decision on the call now, or if you need to go and talk to your business partner, wife, whomever, I fully understand. If you can make a decision quickly and give us a video testimonial, if you're happy in a month, then I can give you this cheaper price, right? Right? So you motivate them making a quick decision, right? Because otherwise there's people out in the ether all the time, okay? You then listen, you record all your calls and you listen to them, and you can start to distinguish which stories or things you said got the prospect excited and which things did you say did their eyes glaze over, were they disinterested, all right? And then every 10 calls, you go through and refine the process. You improve the process, okay? So these are the 2 businesses. Which one do you think has better lead quality at the end of the day? Okay. Typically, you want a sales process that is a process. There's not just random things happening. You just get random results. right? We're trying to build a process. It has to be repeatable. In order for it to be repeatable, it needs to be structured, and you are following a structure, okay? You need to build a process that builds trust and rapport. So a huge fallacy is thinking that the leads that you've been dealing with your whole life are going to be the same as these outbound leads, and because they're different, you've got a lead quality problem. No, these people that you're reaching out to do not trust you, okay? So you need a process that builds trust. How do you build trust? You have multiple conversations with people. You show them social proof. You're a good person and you seem genuine. You genuinely believe you can help them, and you can convey that to them over multiple calls, right? That's what the process is going to be. You show case studies of similar businesses, and you have a process that can be refined, right? You review the process. Part of the process is reviewing the process and seeing what went well and what didn't go well. You're the market research arm of the product team. We're going to talk about the product next, but the sales is the front line where you're saying like, people don't give a shit about what I'm selling. Okay. That's important for the product team, right? The next thing I want to talk about is the product, and I'm going to explain this by talking about our old agency. So we had a restaurant marketing agency where we actually started by going and taking photos of food, but then we moved into a product where we got more bumps on seats. Okay. So we would use Facebook ads to generate, coupons for 2-for-1 burgers or something. And then we would send people into the venue and we would make them put in how much they spent. Right? And then we'd track how much they spent against the cost of goods on the bill. And then we'd figure out a margin. And then we would figure out if they're profitable or not as like a trackable marketing system. Then over time, we had people say like, there was issues with the product. We had problems where like, impact their day-to-day trade. And so some people asked us like, hey, can you get us like more like corporate events, like weekday corporate events? And we're like, yeah, maybe. Like, why do you want weekday corporate events? They're like, well, typically they book in during like lunchtime on a weekday, and that is when we're quietest, so it doesn't impact our day-to-day trade. We typically need staff on anyway, but there's not enough people in there to justify it. We're paying rent for the building, and corporate events tend to drink, and they tend to not care too much about how it costs, and they pay up front. I was like, okay, well, this sounds extremely appealing. So we pivoted out what we were selling to essentially we help venues get more weekday corporate events. And like, I would say with the same lead list and everything, we probably 6x'd our sales, right? Because it was more appealing. The same leads had more money all of a sudden. Our product was expensive. This new product was cheap, even though we were charging more money for it. Why? Because they saw more value in it. They didn't ghost on calls ever because they wanted what we had to sell. Okay. So the product, selling what the market wants to buy, will drastically change your lead quality. So the sales team needs to, you're not just trying to sell, you're trying to understand what the market wants to buy, and then you can reposition the product to be more desirable. You can either change what the core product is, which is what we did in that case. You can rewrap the product. For example, if people hate the word SEO, then don't use SEO in what you're trying to sell. You're trying to sell an inbound acquisition system. Okay? Or you can sell like a lower ticket thing that then you bring people on and then you sell them on your higher ticket thing. Okay? The last thing I'm going to talk about here is your price point offers and risk reversals. And you need to understand that you are reaching out to somebody else. They're not coming to you, right? And so it's logical to reverse the risk. It's logical because you're not going to reach out to someone and say like, we can get you this amazing thing, or like, we promise that with da 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 da, and they say, okay, fantastic. And what happens if it doesn't work? And you say, well, that's on you, buddy. Shouldn't have bought it. It's not how it works. You need to reverse the risk in some way. And yeah, you can look at like people are reversing the risk in crazy ways now, where they're like, yeah, I'll give you $1,000 if it doesn't work. Poorer people need the risk to be reversed to a high degree. Let's just say that their money that they're paying for something is very large compared to their total net wealth, and so they're very scarce. It's a scarce resource for them, and they're going to be very protective over it. Typically, your risk reversals can just be like an out. Hey, look, if it's not working after 45 days, you can just get out for no reason. You don't have to give us a good reason. You can just get out, like, because you don't know me. You didn't know who I was like a month ago. I don't want to tie you into some big contract. Like, that's a viable risk reversal. We typically reverse the risk by working on like a pound results basis, which works well. We also do some rev share for larger companies that we want to do rev share with, right? But again, is that really a risk reversal for a larger company? Not really. That's more of you just setting up a partnership. But I would say you don't need to have some like crazy risk reversal. Pound results is a good one. Offering them like a pilot or an easy way out is a good one. Okay. So let's just say you've got two different businesses. One is really dogged that they're selling 12-month contracts, right? And the other one is like, look, these people don't really know who I am. Like, it's pretty crazy for them to commit to a 12-month contract. Let's just say we'll do a 60-day pilot. Like, if I know that we can help them and they're a really good fit, we'll just offer a 60-day pilot for even like a lower price, just so they can essentially extend the sales process. So they get 60 more days of exposure to us, and now they're going to commit, right? Which of these businesses is going to close more deals with people that they want to help? The one that's willing to offer a 60-day pilot, right? The one that's willing to meet the prospects where they're at, okay? So that's been a lot of information. So let's recap. Step 1, sanity test. Download the lead list. Look at the URLs in the lead list. Make sure that 80% of them are businesses that you would onboard, you would bring on if they wanted your help. If they said, Hawani, I want to buy your stuff. Can you sell it to me? And I say, yes, I can. Or no, I can't. That's the question. Okay. 80% of them people that you'd say yes to. Right? Then reread the copy. If this lead list replied positively to this copy, are they going to be misaligned? Or are they going to be fine to go through our sales process and we can justify pitching our thing? Okay. Then if you'd say no, they're going to be misaligned, you want to make sure that they're more aligned with what it is that you're trying to sell. Bear in mind that this is a sliding scale where you also want the copy to be appealing. You need positive responses for this whole thing to work, okay? Once you've sorted that, then look at the following. What people find online about you, okay? Your lead nurturing process, what you do once you get a positive reply. Your sales process, what you do once you get them on the phone. Your product, what it is you are trying to sell them. Is it what they want to buy? And your price point and risk reversals. It's crazy to think that somebody who doesn't know you is going to take on all the risk. If you actually start to follow all the steps in this video, you are going to drastically improve the quality of the leads. And by that, I mean more people are going to buy today, more people are going to buy in 6 months, more people are going to buy in 9 months, more people are going to buy in 18 months, and they're going to be bigger businesses which are willing to spend more money. There's going to be less rude people. There's going to be less tire kickers. All that good stuff is going to start happening if you follow the steps above. If you are a B2B company and you don't really want to go through this whole process yourself, then you can book in a call with somebody in my team and we can see if what we do aligns with how you want to grow your business. If you're not ready for that just yet, there should be a 90-minute training that's on the screen now. And yeah, I'll see you there. Peace.